Hey comradeskis, the VR gaming database is growing stronger and bigger every day. But I've been wondering, which titles and games that we know and love right now would be even more awesome in VR? Enjoy! Silent Hunter is a strange and sometimes boring game. You spend hours upon hours trying to reach your target, fire several torpedoes and get the hell out of there. But I'm wondering, there's something cool and strange about a submarine environment in VR. Why? First of all, the dark and enclosed environments would get you really immersed because it would take away from the blur in the distance that we get in other VR games. Aside from that, the different roles you can take on allows for maximum interaction and immersion. So there's a lot of stuff to do and it would be really cool in VR. Just imagine holding up the periscope with your VR controllers and looking up to see if you've reached the enemy target. Stalker is an amazingly atmospheric game and one of my favorite first-person shooters. The desolation of Chernobyl must be something awesome to witness in VR. Shooter mechanics and locomotion have evolved enough to make us feel like some badass Slavic guy traveling through the exclusion zone. Adding to that, the scary encounters and the sometimes dark and grim environments would make this game one of the most intense first-person shooters on VR at the moment. The ultimate military sandbox. How I yearn for Arma to be in VR. Please Bohemia, make this happen. Arma 3 was already quite the milsim and sandbox in the regular form, but VR would make this game even more badass. Arma 3 always had some, in the entire Arma series for that matter, had some clunky animations in the past, but don't worry, we'll animate it ourselves with our bodies. I'm going to be brief about this. I want a Star Wars game that's big, that's awesome, and has an amazing storyline that allows me to be like this awesome Jedi or Sith. And I know this time in VR there's probably no place for turn-based mechanics, which were awesome by the way, but there's enough sword fighting VR games and melee combat games who have already paved the way for this to happen. So no more excuses. Bring us Knights of the Old Republic in VR, period. MMOs are about awesome worlds, interacting with NPCs, with your fellow adventurers. And I think I'm not the only one when I say that I want this experience to come to VR. This would also be an amazing excuse to get rid of all those recycled MMO mechanics we've seen in the past and just replace it with decent VR melee combat and spellcasting. One thing that wouldn't change, standing and gloating at the local hub where everybody has to pass by. Just standing there AFK, just so the newbies can look at you in awe. Good old MMO life. I'm going to be very brief about this. I'm actually just going to use 10 words. I want to walk around in Los Santos in VR. We've seen the success of cockpit games like Elite Dangerous in VR and they work very well. So why not be able to fly your own handmade creations, the ones you've put blood, sweat and tears in Kerbal Space Program? Just imagine standing in the hangar, overviewing the building process of your own rocket, or taking the risk of strapping yourself into a deadly ride to space in one of your handmade creations. To me, one of the coolest parts would be landing on a planet, getting out and be able to watch the awesome vistas that you're seeing. One of the downsides, or the possible downsides, and you know how it works in Kerbal Space Program if you've played it, it's around like a 1.1 success ratio for every launch you do, so you know that one of your rides is going to go bad and it might turn the game into instant vomit simulator. But I guess you can't have everything, right? There you have it, 7 games that I think would work well in VR. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe and let me know in the comments down below if you agree or disagree with me or have any other suggestions. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. See ya.